Namaste, everyone, and welcome to Sattvic Path. Have you ever heard a yoga pose like Utthita Pasvakonasana and immediately thought, that sounds impossible to remember? You're definitely not alone. Many yoga students feel the same way. But here's the good news. You don't actually have to memorize every Sanskrit pose name. Once you understand a few common Sanskrit words, you'll be able to decode pose names just like reading a sentence. That's exactly what we're going to learn today. So, let's begin. Before we jump into the words, let's understand why Sanskrit names matter. These names aren't random or complicated, just for the sake of being difficult. Each word describes something about the pose, its direction, shape, body part, or action. So instead of memorizing hundreds of separate names, we only need to learn a handful of common words that repeat throughout yoga. Think of every Sanskrit pose name like a simple equation. Different descriptive words come together, followed by the word asana. Each word contributes one piece of information, and together they create the full meaning of the posture. Once you start breaking long names into smaller parts, they suddenly become much easier to understand. Let's start with the easiest word. Asana simply means pose or posture. Every yoga posture ends with this word. So whenever you see asana, you already know you're looking at the name of a yoga pose. Everything before the word asana simply describes what kind of pose it is. Now let's look at some direction words. Adho means downward. You'll recognize this in downward facing dog. On the other hand, urdhva means upward or raised. These two words immediately tell you the direction in which the body is moving. Instead of memorizing an entire pose name, you can already picture part of the posture. Next are words describing how the body is positioned. Parsva means side. Whenever you hear parsva, think about a side stretch or side facing position. Another common word is utthita, which means extended. This tells us the body is reaching or lengthening. These descriptive words make the pose much easier to visualize. Many Sanskrit names include body parts. For example, mukha means face, hasta means hand, pada means foot. You'll notice these words appearing in many different poses throughout your yoga journey. Once you recognize them, you'll naturally begin translating pose names in your head. Yoga also uses shapes to describe body alignment. Trikon means triangle. So Trikonasana literally becomes triangle pose. Kona means angle, and Eka means one. These words help us understand the geometry of the posture before we even perform it. Some Sanskrit words describe the action happening in the pose. For example, Uttana means an intense stretch or deep extension. Another useful word is prasarita, meaning spread wide. Instead of describing the body's position, these words describe how the body is moving or expanding. Now let's look at two more common Sanskrit words that describe how the body is positioned. The first word is parivarta. Parivarta means revolved or twisted. Whenever you hear this word, you can expect the spine or torso to rotate. A good example is Parivarta Trikonasana, which translates to revolved triangle pose. Just by recognizing the word Parivarta, you already know the pose includes a twist. Another important word is Bada. Bada means bound or bound together. In yoga, this usually refers to the hands holding another part of the body or creating a bind. A familiar example is Bada Konasana or bound angle pose, where the hands hold the feet while the legs open outward. These descriptive words tell us how the body is organized in the posture, making it much easier to understand the pose before we even practice it. Finally, we have words that describe position. Upavista means seated, Ardha means half. Whenever you hear Ardha, you can expect a half variation of a posture rather than the complete version. These small words appear again and again in yoga, making them very useful to remember. Now let's decode a pose together. Take Utthita Pasvakonasana. Utthita means extended. Pasva means side. Kona means angle. Asana means pose. Put those together, and we get extended side angle pose. Instead of memorizing one difficult Sanskrit word, we've simply translated four smaller words. That's the beauty of the Sanskrit naming system. So here's the biggest takeaway from today's lesson. Don't try to memorize every Sanskrit pose name. Instead, learn the common words that appear over and over again. As you continue practicing yoga, these words will become familiar, and you'll naturally understand new pose names without much effort. I hope this session made Sanskrit feel a little less intimidating and a lot more logical. If you found this helpful, please like this video, subscribe to Sattvic Path, and let me know in the comments which yoga topic you'd like me to cover next. Thank you for watching.